Welcome to Bespoke Diaries. Today's article is on The Life of a Young Detroit Soldier, by Gunner Alan Lindbloom, CEO, author, Clothing Apparel, USA. Gunner was born in Grosse Pointe, MI, where his grandparents lived, a suburb just outside of Detroit. He lived in various areas in and around Detroit for much of his life. He lives a very quiet life in the remote woods of northern Michigan with his wife, Maria, and his two Russian blue cats, Nika and Gussie. Gunner is actually his middle name, so we'll see both from time to time. Gunner A. Lindbloom is his pen name for his novels, but he goes by either. Well, in reality, most people just call him Gunner or Al. Only his mother and his grandmother called him Alan. And his wife, when she's not very happy with him, LOL. He was incarcerated for extortion, bank robbery, weapons violations, and other crimes. Altogether, when he was arrested, he was facing 17 capital crimes, but plea bargained them down to 4 to 5 charges in exchange for a 13 to 50-year sentence. He was released after 13.3 years. In a nutshell, Gunner decided he was not going to be another statistic, another convict who wastes his time inside and comes out even worse than when he went in. He was not going to let society stigmatize him, paint him out to be a worthless loser for having made some bad choices when he was young. He also knew he had a very special talent, a unique gift, the ability to contrive incredibly complex plots. It was only a matter of teaching himself how to put them on paper, which was a slow evolution, but he can be relentless when it comes to pursuing something he wants. His mother was a Thocco, of the Detroit Thocco crime family. His last name is Lindbloom, which is his father's last name. He spent much of his childhood with his Thocco grandparents, and even lived with them for a few years. In his late teens and early 20s, he did some jobs for his uncles and grandfather, as an associate or street enforcer for the family. But he was definitely not a mob boss, or anyone of importance. His books are, in every sense of the word, fiction novels, driven by complex characters, plots, and subplots that he created in his mind, far more romantic and grandiose than anything he ever lived. That said, of course there are many characters based on characters from his previous life. For example, Don Falcone, the main character's beloved grandfather, is based on his grandfather, Peter Thocco. He often gets asked if any content of the To Be a King novels are based on his own experiences. Some of the happenstances and events in the books do mirror events that happened in his own life. But only the people closest to him will ever know which ones. He actually wrote 9 novels in prison, and the first 2, both volumes of To Be a King, are now published. The last novel he wrote, called The Snowman Chronicles, will be the next to be published. He tends to be a genre hopper, and this next book is not a mafia novel. It's about 2 cocaine dealers who hit the big time. It's a great novel, he is sure his readers will love it. Gunner and his wife went to the same middle and high school together, growing up only a few blocks apart. But they didn't know each other back in school. She began writing him in prison, and they fell in love through letters. She waited 6 years for him, and they got married and baptized the day after his release. She is his biggest fan and is truly amazing. He couldn't do what he does without her. They have a pretty awesome love story, and one day he'll have to write their story into a book for everyone to read. Most of the family members he was close to are no longer alive, and he has 0 ties to any organized crime family. He definitely will not ever go back to that kind of life. He had a heroin addiction in his late 20s, which resulted in his final crime spree. It was a horrible way to live, and he always knew that he was one prayer away from taking a big fall. He is a devout Christian now, and he lives a very peaceful, productive, joy-filled life. He spends his free time camping, fishing, and hiking with his wife. We like to snowmobile and go four-wheeling, and when he is off parole, they'll go traveling. When people meet him in person, they're often surprised at what a nice, jocular guy he is. If he can quote Yoda from Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, In a dark place we find ourselves, and a little more knowledge lights our way. Thankfully, he had completely turned from the dark side. All glory to God. How did his apparel clothing line get started? Well, the words Cosa Nostra is a term commonly used by members of the Mafia to describe the Mafia itself. In English it literally means our thing. So, while promoting his book, he had some hoodies made with the cover of his book on the front and the phrase Our Thing Detroit on the back. Then he posted pictures of them at some of the larger Facebook Mafia fan pages. Within days he began getting dozens of messages from people wanting a hoodie like that for themselves. He remembers calling his business partner, saying, "Bro, we might be onto something here." And a brand was born. They trademarked the name and started a website, which is a constant build in progress as they expand their brand and merchandise. So much, he can't even wrap his head around it. Recording will begin soon for the audiobook version of To Be a King, Volume 2. Also, he is working on getting Volume 1 made into a film, which is quite an endeavor. But he has some big players at the table. He just refuses to have it made into anything less than an A-list film, which will require a budget of about $50 million. So that's evolving. He is hoping to begin the editing process for the Snowman Chronicles next fall, and in between now and then he'll probably write several more King Chronicles and Lindbloom Chronicles. With regard to Our Thing Apparel, they're expanding the line to include men's toiletries, cigars, bourbon, glassware, sunglasses, and various other accessories. Eventually, their plan is to extend into an upscale line of suits and business/evening wear. To stay focused and not get stressed out, he goes fishing. Thank you for your time. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Do leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For similar type of article please reach us at contact@thebespokediaries.com, or you can visit our website www.thebespokediaries.com.